Hello to our entire Columbus City Schools community. My name is Hosanna Araya and I'm a student at Mifflin High School. Before we begin tonight's Board of Education business meeting, I invite you to check out these highlights and updates from across the district.
Greetings! We are a few weeks into the new school year, and it's certainly off to a busy start here in Columbus City Schools. Let's take a look at some highlights from the last few weeks and some exciting things that we have planned. First and foremost, I want to welcome all of our students on the traditional calendar back to school. Our scholars started back on August 23rd. The first day was filled with clap-ins and some very special celebrations with our community partners, including the Columbus Crew, Columbus City Year, and so much more. Students at Hamilton STEM returned to a completely renovated school building on their first day. The school received a major facelift with new floors, ceilings, technology, and furnishings, just to name a few. Additionally, Columbus City Year celebrated its 30th anniversary in a special clap-in for Starling Pre-K-8 students for their first day. This marked the third year of City Year advisors and core members working with the school. Last week, we welcomed back some of our youngest CCS scholars, with kindergartners returning to school. This week, we will welcome back our pre-K students, with today, September 5th, and tomorrow, September 6th, as orientation days. All pre-K students will report on September 7th. I hope that all of our students are able to get back into their school year routines and have had a positive back-to-school experience. To welcome students back to school, the Columbus City Preparatory School for Boys hosted their annual tie-tying ceremony. During the ceremony, community leaders and mentors helped the new class of young men to tie their uniform ties. The ceremony is a symbolic induction of the new scholars into the school and tying of scholars to the community and the community to the scholars. The tradition, which goes back to 2010, reminds students that they have a wealth of support from the community and empowers students to succeed. A big thank you to our partners at My Brother's Keepers Village for putting together this important ceremony. We also welcomed our family ambassadors in a special kickoff meeting last week. This school year, CCS welcomes 125 family ambassadors to our buildings. Our family ambassadors are the bridge builders between school and home. They connect families to vital community resources and support. We are so grateful for the work our family ambassadors do, and I was excited to see all of them and welcome them last week. Students at Woodcrest Elementary School recently got the opportunity to work with Intel staff participating in fun problem-solving activities rooted in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Throughout the course of the camp, students worked with Scribblebots, built spaceships, and had a final showcase where they worked in groups to create board games. We are grateful for our partnership with Intel and their continued investment in our students. I also want to say a huge thank you to those who supported our biggest event of the summer, our Back to School Resource Fair. More than 10,000 people registered for this event. We gave out 9,700 backpacks. More than 120 vendors were there and 19 departments were represented. It was certainly a day filled with fun activities and important resources. We are grateful for the many partners who come together to make this event special. It was great to see our community and partners show up in support of our students. September is Attendance Awareness Month and a good time to remember that every day counts when it comes to improving academic success. Our partners at the Columbus Crew have been cheering students on and encouraging them to stay in the game. Keep learning every day. This initiative encourages students to come to school on time each day when they're healthy. September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day. We all know that mental health is more than a day, a week, or a month. If you or someone you know is struggling, know that you are not alone, and there are many resources available. Use this time as a reminder to check in with your loved ones. Let them know how much you care and reach out a helping hand to support them. Additionally, there are some other important dates to remember coming up this month. Do you know a 6th through 9th grader interested in helping lead Columbus into the future? Encourage them to apply for the City Leaders Academy. This is a 9-month program where students will learn the inner workings of the City of Columbus, receive mentoring from city and community leaders, and gain many necessary skills to become successful community leaders. Students must apply by Friday, September 8th at 5 p.m. So make sure to send those applications in. Applications may be scanned and emailed to ancombs@columbus.gov or returned by hard copy to the Jerry Hammond Center at 1111 East Broad Street. Hard copies may be mailed or left with the guard desk. To learn more about this great program, visit the City of Columbus Recreation and Parks website. Also, make sure you check out the Family and Community Engagement Series, or FACES. This online series premiered in August, and the goal is to inform and connect families, communities, and schools. Previous topics of conversation have included helpful resources for getting ready for back to school, and most recently, all things health. Check out these episodes and more by visiting the CCS Facebook and YouTube channels. These have been highlights from around the district for the week of September 5th. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. I am calling our September 5th board meeting to order. Please call the roll.
President Adair.
Present.
Ms. Beckerly.
Present.
Mr. Brown. Mr. Cole.
Here.
Dr. Pierce.
Present.
Ms. Reyes.
Here.
Vice President Vera.
Here.
You have a quorum.
And let the record reflect that Board Member Brown is actually excused.
Okay.
Forgot to say that. Will you please stand and join me in the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members and community, before we begin our meeting, this week and over the past couple weeks, we've actually lost the lives of a few of our children. And without going into too much detail, I would just like to take a moment of silence to recognize their lives and remember that there are things, just as Dr. Chapman said, if you need help, please reach out, be safe. And we are going to need to talk about gun violence in this community. So there's lots of things in order to really address the problems our children are facing on multiple fronts. But I would like to take a moment of silence for the young lives that we have lost these past few weeks since the beginning of school. Thank you. On our agenda this evening, we do have two speakers here to make public comment. We will have no executive report, but some updates from our direct reports. We have two notices of hearing, and we have our consent agenda. We do not have anyone here to speak at the end of the meeting, and we do not have an executive session this evening. Is there a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or changes? Seeing none and without objection, the agenda has been adopted. We will now start our public comment. Our first speaker is John Navarez, here to speak on staffing concern, board action requested. I want the board to reconsider the teacher placement. Is Mr. Navarez here? Oh, okay. Sir, as you're making your way up, let me remind you, you will have go ahead, up to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. Your time will begin when you start.
What is this? What is this?
But you don't need that. That just controls PowerPoint slides. You can just leave it.
You can move the microphone up and adjust it so it's close. There you go.
Dear district board members, my name is John Neverez. I have a daughter named Eden Thomas. She goes to Berwick. I'm here today because I'm concerned that I walked into her school this year, 2 days before her first day of school, to find out that her teacher is in transition. And I don't think that's fair for a 1-year-old to be studying her ABCs while going through so much transition. I'm not discriminating on the person. I just think age appropriately is wrong. She's 6 years old. I think she should be focusing on her ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and not what's going on in front of her like that. I ask that y'all please find a moral, make a moral decision here. Place these teachers somewhere where where a person can understand what's going on in front of them. Y'all sending our 6th grades, our children homeless with loaded questions here. For the parents that have to endure it, I've taken my daughter out of school for right now, and I've been told that instead of her being lotteried, she got lotteried into the school. But I'm being told that she has to go to another school now because of the decision that y'all made by placing this teacher there. I don't have a problem with them teaching when my child can understand what's going on. Yes, today's day and age is different than it was when I was growing up, but this is a very bold and I feel overlooked part of the non-discriminating laws y'all got here. That maybe y'all might want to revisit this. I don't have a problem with my child being taught from someone who's gay or any of that. But in transition, that's a whole nother thing to deal with. Y'all want me to have my child come to this school and call this woman, and she's going to be confused why she's calling this woman Mr. Have y'all even taken in consideration some of the people where y'all placing them? I ask that y'all reconsider some of this. Not fire them, just move them around to some place where mentally they can understand. I'm just concerned, that's all. I'm concerned for my child or anybody else's. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate that.
Thank you
Won't
so
be the
much.
last, though.
Thank you so much for sharing your comments. Our next speaker is Angel Dyer Sanchez, here to speak on restorative practices, board action. I want the board to continue using restorative practices.
Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Vera, Treasurer, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Chapman. I am here tonight to encourage the board to continue supporting restorative practices for our schools and to share a success I recently had with restorative practices. Last year, I had a group of students who struggled with self-regulation and were bringing the trauma they experienced or had experienced to the classroom. By the end of September, the majority of the students were calmer, focused, and respectful, And by January, they were all that way towards me because of the restorative practices I consistently use in my classroom. I've been using restorative practices in some form for 14 out of my 19 years with the district. I believe that restorative practices start with the classroom layout and decorations. The first impression you will get of my classroom is a sense of calm. Every day we start with a check-in circle and a conversation question. Multiple times a week, we are doing lessons on growth mindset, self-regulation, and/or being kind. When the Panorama survey results come out, I will pull activities from the site based on the greatest needs of my students. The supportive administrator I have, restorative practice training I have received from Columbus City Schools, and the implicit bias training I received from OEA has empowered me to create a classroom where every child feels welcome and respected. If you'd like to see any of this in action, please come visit me. I'm asking that the board continue to support restorative practices in our schools, and as a point of personal privilege, I would like to thank Dr. Chapman for the happy birthday wish. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for those comments. That will close our public comment session, and we're going to go ahead and move to item 5, over to our superintendent. Good evening, Madam Superintendent.
Good evening, President Adair, members of the board. I do not have an official report tonight. I do have some highlights in addition to what you saw in the video that I would like to share. Certainly, as you all know, the 2023-2024 school year is well underway and certainly off to a strong start. Our kindergarten students returned to school last week, and our youngest learners, our pre-K students, will be returning on Thursday of this week. We certainly want to recognize a big shout out to 5 of our CCS schools that were ranked among the top high schools in the nation, according to U.S. News and World Report, which released its list of 2023 best high schools in Ohio. That includes Columbus Alternative High School, that was ranked number 9 in Central Ohio and 28 in the state. Also on that list of top high schools in the state includes Centennial, Fort Hays, Whetstone, and Columbus International. In addition, as you saw in the video, September is Attendance Awareness Month. We are very excited to again launch our attendance campaign for the new school year to remind our families, our students, and our community about the importance of attendance. And certainly, over the summer, we had over 50 educators that rallied around our students who were chronically absent last year, and they made phone calls to all of the families to have conversations with them about why their child was absent last year. They made over 3,000 contacts, representing 1,300 families. They found out some of the top reasons why there were challenges. But we want you to know that the data is already showing that we have significantly decreased the number of absences on the first day of school. So even as we stand in still the first week of school, last school year alone, there were 25,000 students who were absent on the first day of school. For whatever reason, this year, that number has reduced significantly to 8,000 students. So we're going to continue with our attendance campaign, continue stressing the importance of attendance, but also making sure that we're making the connections to our families to find out the root cause so that we can be responsive to the needs of our families so that we remove any barriers for engaging in school. So we'll continue. Again, September is Attendance Awareness Month. We have a whole campaign. Each week there will be a new theme. There'll be clap-ins. There'll be an attend dance. Today, Tyree and I were at a meeting with the Ohio Department of Education serving on their task force for attendance. And what we want the Columbus community to know is that our team has been working on attendance and prioritizing attendance, for a couple of years now, and we are seeing significant progress in this area, and now we are in a position where we can serve on the committee to support other schools across the state to create toolkits so that they have all the resources that they need to support conversations such as this in their respective school communities. So we're really excited about that work, and check our social medias, website, messaging. We'll be sharing all of our efforts throughout the month to promote and celebrate student attendance in CCS. Additionally, I would like to share, as Ms. Dyer Sanchez talked about restorative practices, I would also like to share just a couple of updates of how we've already accelerated this work this school year. In thinking about restorative practices, we have engaged several of our staff members in the 2-day Intro to Restorative Practices training that has been offered throughout the first semester. So we've had some training in the summer. We'll have continuous sessions over the fall, and then a 3-day Train the Trainer session. So to anyone in our community who wants to become a trainer for restorative practices, we'll make sure that that opportunity is extended. We already have more than 180 staff members already registered to do the Intro to Restorative Practices 2-day training, which is coming up this month. We are also supporting the intentional shift toward restorative practices in schools that have begun holding regular morning meetings through the incorporation of community circles. This is a proactive relationship building measure that we would like to see in all of our classrooms and all of our school communities, recognizing that restorative practices is a proactive approach. We don't have to wait until something goes wrong to then intervene. We build these practices in our normal day-to-day interactions and conversations with students so that we can be much more proactive. The purpose of these practices is to build those relationships and strengthen the relationships so that our students and our staff have stronger ties to each other. And then, so as we're thinking about this work, we just want to certainly thank you, Ms. Dyer Sanchez, for sharing your feedback on what's working and the implementation of restorative practices. And we want you all to know that we are committed to accelerating this work. Certainly, our team has that charge, and their plan is to make sure that we're continuing to offer training throughout the district to all staff who want to participate in the training. But our goal is to have at least 3 staff members at every school trained in restorative practices. And so we are well on our way to meeting that goal. And then we're also training central office staff. We want to have equal representation in each department and team at central office, because this work not only lives in our schools, it should be what we do every day, whether you're in central office or if you're in a school. So when our team meets, we have restorative community circles, so we're building relationships, but we want all of our colleagues across the district to understand the value and the importance of restorative practices. And we do that by modeling that work and showing that we are as equally committed to restorative practices as our teams, our school-facing team. And we have a few events coming up in the next few weeks. Coming up on Saturday, September 16th, is the UNCF Walk for Education. This is a great community event that will help support HBCUs and our students in supporting their access to college as well as their support in college. And so there'll be more information. We're encouraging all of our staff members across the district to join us in this effort, and we'll be making sure that we make that information available to everyone. We're also excited to announce the launch of the Superintendent Student Ambassador application program. So that's open to students in grades 10 through 12. Spread the word if you know of students who may be interested. We want to certainly encourage our students to apply, and we will have at least 4 students from each school represented in the Superintendent Student Ambassador Program. So we're expanding the representation to allow for diversity, inclusion of voices, to make sure that our schools have good representation And this is open to students in all grades, so it's not just a 12th grader. So we really want to make sure that we spread the word and we have an opportunity, all of our students have an opportunity to submit their application today. So thank you for allowing me just a few minutes to share a few highlights. And again, the new school year is off to a very strong start, and we're really excited to see what's to come.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. And just really quick on the issue around restorative practices, I know that you have actually used restorative practices in your cabinet, just to highlight, how dedicated we are to that. And the board did a restorative circle at the beginning of our last executive session. So we are committed to this and using it at the highest levels because we understand the power of it. So thank you to everyone who is willing to get trained, willing to work with it, because we know it will make the impact that you were discussing. So we do have a question, Board Member Beckerly.
I don't have a question, but I'd like to up the ante and suggest that we do a restorative circle before our meetings. And we invite some of the students that are being trained to lead us. I think that that would be worth our time.
Absolutely. We can make that happen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We will head over to the Treasurer's office. Treasurer Vanover.
Okay, I have just a couple announcements. Just as a reminder, FAC got moved up to tomorrow. It should have been on the schedule, or it was originally on the schedule for next Wednesday, but myself, Dr. Roush, Kristen, Greg, and Terry Addison in our department, we will all be out of town in Maryland at an Education Finance Summit being put on by Allovue, which is our partner that we're working with to provide a more user-friendly dashboard to present financial and information to our educators that are not necessarily budget people. Most people don't get into education because they love budgets. So we're trying to provide that information in a fashion that will be hopefully more understandable, but that, again, that company is putting on a summit that we are going to attend. It has a lot of good information I think will be very helpful and help us to better serve the staff and the students by getting that information out. So we are meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. So that is our next FAC meeting. That's really all I have.
Thank you. Chair Cole, would you like to say anything else about that meeting? Maybe highlight what's on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam President. We'll be discussing we'll take the opportunity to provide some additional information about the upcoming ballot initiatives for levies via permanent improvement and also operating. So again, we'll give the community and those in attendance the opportunity to get a deeper, informative understanding without advocating the knowledge of what this is about and what its intended purpose is. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go over to Internal Auditor O'Connor.
Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Vera. I only have one announcement today, and that is we have the Audit and Accountability Committee meeting Thursday, September 7th at 3:30, right here in this room.
And Board Member Chair Beckerly, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just looking forward to our meeting.
Awesome. All right, before we move into item 8, I do want to recognize in the audience, we have a class here from the Ohio State University who is here observing us and taking notes, I see. I would give you all an A+ on this assignment. You're doing well. But I wanted to recognize you because it is my belief some of you will be some of our future educators. And we are also so excited to have you here and to learn about the governance side of what happens in school districts. So welcome, and you guys hit a short meeting tonight, which you're going to see. And so I know that board members, we don't have an executive session, so if you want to talk to board members after, I'm sure we would be more than willing to chat with you. So thank you for being here, and good luck with your studies. All right. Board members, we're going to go into the notice for reemployment of retired employees. The first is 8.1. This is notice of public hearing on reemployment of retired employee Janine Collins. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 3309.345, the Columbus Board of Education gives notice that Janine Collins, who retired from the Columbus City Schools effective February 28, 2023, is seeking employment with the Columbus City Schools as a teacher effective November 11, 2023. The board will hold a public hearing on November 8, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the boardroom at 3700 South High, Columbus, Ohio, on the issue of Ms. Collins' reemployment. The second notice pertains to a reemployment of retired employee Lynn Getz. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 3309.345, the Columbus Board of Education gives notice that Lynn Getz, who retired from the Columbus City Schools effective May 31st, 2012, is seeking employment with the Columbus City Schools as a teacher effective November 11th, 2023. The board will hold a public hearing on November 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the boardroom at 3700 South High, Columbus, Ohio, on the issue of Ms. Getz's reemployment. Board members, we will now move into our consent agenda. This evening, our consent agenda consists of items, let me make sure I have this right, 11.1 to 26.8. Are there any items a member would like to remove for separate consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion? Did I get it wrong?
I think it's 10.1.
10.1 to 26.8. Thank you for that correction. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any items board member would like to discuss? Seeing none, please call the roll.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
With the exception of 13.3 and 13.3, which I'm abstaining, yes.
Ms. Reyes,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
With the exception of 13.4, which I am voting no, yes.
okay, motion carries.
Do you need to amend your,
Amend 13.4 for me to know.
So 13.3 is an abstain and 13.4 is no.
Yes. 13.3 is abstain, 13.4 is no.
Okay, thank you. Motion still carries.
thank you. And with that, we actually just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Good evening, everyone.